Hello and welcome to another episode of the Purpose Vision Future Show. My name is Amanda Heel and I'm coming to you from Canberra, Australia. Now, today I want to talk about leadership and more specifically self-leadership. Now, I don't know about you, but when I used to think of the word leadership, I used to think about leading others. And that is absolutely true. That's what leadership is. But there is also self-leadership. And Charles E. Manns is believed to be the first, or Professor Charles E. Manns is believed to be the first person to talk about self-leadership. And he defined it as a comprehensive self-influence perspective that concerns leading oneself. Now, why is self-leadership important? Well, self-leadership is important in discovering your life's purpose because our life's purpose is often bigger than we are. And so we have to grow into it. And so self-leadership is one of the tools that we need to help us along the journey of discovering our life's purpose. And one of my absolute mentors, John C. Maxwell, puts this very well. And he says, and I quote, "If you want to reach your full potential and become the person you were created to be, you must do much more than just experience life and hope that you learn what you need to along the way. You must go out of your way to seize growth opportunities as if your future depended on it." Why? Because it does. Growth doesn't just happen. Not for you, not for me, not for you, not for anybody. You have to go after it. End quote. Now, there isn't anybody I know who has done this growth journey better than my dear friend Nazreen, who I'm very honored to have on the show, and she has taken time out of her busy schedule to be here. So thank you so very much, Nazreen, for being here.
Thank you so very much, Amanda, for having me here today. I truly appreciate this opportunity.
Now, Nazreen is the CEO of a wonderful organization called Project Starfish, which helps people or blind people to find employment by giving them the skills that they need to be more employable. But Nazreen, you haven't always been the CEO of Project Starfish. You had to go on a very intentional journey, which started way back before you even thought about being CEO of anything, didn't it? It started way back in a bookshop when you were pregnant with your daughter. Tell us about that.
Wow, yeah, actually it did. I never imagined to be, you're right, CEO of anything, in matter of fact, but I was fully sighted. I've been someone who, went to school, rode a bike, enjoyed childhood, played ball, tennis, sports. And I was working at the bookstore, and that was sort of one of my last memories of actually working. And I was actually pregnant at the same time and really looking forward to my mat leave, which is coming around the corner. It was exciting for me. And I went on mat leave, and I kind of realized at that point when can I stop and edit? Can I do that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, stop it. Let me just start that again, because I'm just this is kind of nerve-wracking. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. Okay.
That's okay.
Sorry.
Take a breath. Take your time.
Okay. So can you just this is just, your question was fine. Can you just repeat the question to me, just Amanda, so that I can
yeah, sure. So you haven't always been the CEO of Project Starfish. Obviously, you had to go on a very intentional growth journey way before you even dreamt of being CEO of anything, didn't you? And that growth journey started off when you were working in a bookshop, and you realize that one of your important senses was starting to change?
Yeah, exactly. I was actually born with, fully sighted. I went to school. I rode bikes with my cousins. I played sports. Soccer was one of my favorite sports. And I love rollerblading and skating and all that good stuff. And, I went to college as well, too. I have a background in information technology and learned to use a computer with just with keyboard commands, as well as with the mouse, because the mouse was some new peripheral that was coming on the market when I was just graduating, and so I got to use the mouse before I left. And I was working in different odd jobs. I did some white collar work during school, during college, and I did some blue collar work during the summertime during college. But the last place that I was was at the bookstore, and I was working through my college years at the bookstore. I love the bookstore. I love to read. I just love the smell of fresh books, and there's nothing like it. And I remember the last time I was there, I was actually, on mat leave. I was pregnant. Actually, I was going on mat leave, pardon me, and I was pregnant. And that was a really interesting and new and exciting time of my life. And I noticed my vision started to kind of deteriorate when I was going during the process, I think second trimester of my pregnancy. And when I spoke with my eye doctor about what was happening to me, I was sort of starting to see some funny things in my visual vortex areas and stuff. And they assured me that, women sometimes will, either develop things like gestational diabetes, or sometimes their vision will be affected during pregnancy. So don't worry about it. When the baby comes and you're all done all of this, your vision will be restored back to normal. Like you go back to what you're used to be seeing, that level again. And I was like, okay, I didn't think anything else of it. I thought, okay, this is fine. I'm starting to see sort of something different in my central vision, especially it started in my my left eye first. And so I didn't think anything of it. And then after, third trimester, I had a beautiful daughter. And I noticed that my vision at that time was still, it was stable. I had my baby, we were home. I was doing all the things that, new mothers do at the time. And so I didn't think really too much about it. And I thought, well, okay, I guess my vision will go back to being normal or repair itself, or whatever this sort of hiccup has happened. And unfortunately, that wasn't the case. It slowly started to deteriorate. At first, I didn't really notice it because the type of condition I have called retinal pigmentosis, it's an eye condition that affects the retina. And the retina is made up of, rods and cones, and, over 30,000 different cells and things. And retinal pigmentosis is when one of the cells mutates incorrectly, and there's some distortion to that, and then therefore it causes this sort of destruction to the back of the retina, and slowly it affects the cones and rods that are in the back of the eye. And there's two types of retinal pigmentosis conditions. The one that I understand to be the most rapid condition, which thank God I did not get, is the one that is about the tunnel vision. So you're looking through like a towel paper roll or something, so your sides are black. You just have your central vision, which which is clear. But then again, it comes to a point. So at some point, you don't see anything. You even lose the central vision. The other type of retinal pigmentosis is where your central vision gets affected first. Those cones and rods get affected first, and then kind of spread over to your peripheral vision. Luckily, at present, I still have my peripheral vision, but my
So what did
My
you do? What did you do when you realized you were losing your sight? What you started taking some courses, didn't you?
so when I was on mat leave, when I started to notice my vision was deteriorating. And then what happened was a few years later, actually the pivotal moment, the changing moment for me was when my daughter was in the 5th grade and she developed type 1 diabetes actually. And that was really difficult for me. I realized that I had to help her out. And in doing so, I had no time to be blind, to be frank with you. At that point in time, life had really changed for us. And so one of the things that I had to jumpstart to do was to work with the school system to get some provisions in place for her so that she could have proper care at the school level. They've never had any type 1 diabetics. It was always peanut allergies or people with gluten or et cetera that they had to deal with. So type 1 diabetes, because it was a little bit more severe type of diagnosis, and the care for it was a little bit different because she had to take insulin and so forth. There was a lot of protocols and things that had to be put into place. And then I had to jump into place to do that. I had to be on the ball and work with the school system and design, protocol trackers and dietary food trackers, and email people. And here I was realizing at this point that, oh my goodness, my sight had been so, I was unable to use the computer without assistance. And at that time, I did not have any courses under my belt at that moment. So my daughter and I worked together on doing those tasks. So she would put me into the body of a Word document or an email, and luckily I knew how to type. And so jumping back on the QWERTY keyboard took a few stumbles, but I got back into the groove of that. And so we managed to kind of push our way through that situation and get what we needed done and presented to the school boards so that she could have her the measures that she needed in place to be able to go to school effectively and have an education, not worry about her medical needs during at school. That whole experience made me realize that, oh my goodness, I really need to find some system I need to reskill myself so that I can get out there and help her better and help myself, because I found that to be a very challenging, rewarding, and also an eye-opening sort of experience. And I really needed to understand, what else could I do? So that's when I decided to start taking courses to reskill myself. And I went and I found some online courses that were doing that. The first thing I had to do was to get adaptive technology and learn about, screen readers, what screen readers do, how they help you use the computer. And since I had an information technology background, I understood how, Windows or computers worked. So I understood once I got the software that this is just a software that kind of goes over the GUI, of the interface of the computer. And then once I started learning that, I started taking, online courses through, incidentally out in Australia. And then I started to reskill myself. I took a few different courses. I did IT essentials again. So I learned about computers again. The second time, this time with a screen reader. I took some employment courses, just Microsoft Office, simple courses that people take for granted, just to reskill myself with the screen reader and to develop those skills that I would need, not only to help her further in her journey of diabetes or the school educational system here or the ministry, the educational system, but also for myself in case I want to reskill myself. And one thing I learned through the courses was that, what do I do with them after I've done this? Does it stop here, or should I explore employment now?
And that is a wonderful time, Nazarene. If I could just stop you there, that is a perfect opportunity for us to take a break. So, and also before we do that, viewers, a screen reader is software which reads out, using synthesized speech, reads out what is on the computer screen. So stay there, everybody, and I will see you on the other side. You and I face more uncertainty today than we ever have in our lifetime. And I know that you and your teams have faced hardships that undermine your sense of identity and purpose. Uncertainty puts your vision at risk. This leads to confusion, loss of opportunity, and income. The time for courage is now. I almost died at birth. My twin sister and I were born 14 weeks premature in the 70s when such tiny babies were not deemed viable. We were given too much oxygen at birth, which caused irreparable damage to my eyes, causing total blindness. I get immense joy from sharing my story and teaching framework with audiences to help them transform from being people who are fearful, confused, and stuck to people who are in control and who take courageous steps toward a clear vision. Using my focus methodology, I will teach your team how to build their courage by fixing their eyes on the prize rather than the problems, and by optimizing their goals for outstanding outcomes so they can get back into some serious productivity. I will encourage them to connect with their conviction for increased consistency in performance and to constantly look to upgrade their courage for unbelievable results. Lastly, I will show your team how they can see their success by putting their courage into action. The experiences and challenges I have faced throughout my life have taught me skills of courage and resilience, which I will share with your team. Together, let's unlock new levels of courage. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Purpose Vision Future Show. And thank you to our lovely sponsors who make this broadcast possible. And if you would like to donate, you can do so at WYTV7.org, and your donation will make this broadcast and other broadcasts possible. Now, before the break, I was talking with Nazreen, my wonderful guest, who was telling us about her personal growth journey and how she had taken some courses to help her relearn to use computers again after she had begun to lose her sight. And she was saying that she was wondering what to do with this new knowledge that she gained. So Nazreen, tell us more about that and what happened after you'd done your courses.
Yeah, that was actually a pretty, daunting, interesting. It was just this whole bag of emotions that kind of came up after the courses, because what do I do with this new learned knowledge? Employment, oh my goodness, I haven't worked in over a decade, to be honest with you. And what could I possibly do now? I'm using a screen reader. I don't know. I didn't see many places out there, in the big world that I used to venture into that use screen reader technology. So how would I even, find work? What types of work would I find? And all these kind of ideas were kind of going through my mind. And I was just kind of, listening and learning from other people about different things such as remote work or online work and opportunities online. And I thought, oh my goodness, that would be perfect for me if I could find something like that. And what would that even look like? But then also another thing dawned on me, am I even ready for work right now? Because I just finished these courses. I haven't worked at all. And what skills do I have? I had to kind of figure them out. How do I use my skills? Where do I use them? And I needed to figure out a testing ground. And it was a friend, a colleague of mine that Amanda knows as well too. Her name is Rebecca. And she actually sent me a tweet about Project Starfish and said, hey, there's this new company opened up. You might want to look into this. I'm joining this organization, so you might look at it and consider. Now, I saw that tweet. I left it for about 2 weeks. And then one day I just picked up I looked at closer at the tweet. I visited the website. I noticed a phone number. I picked it up and I called over to Massachusetts, and I spoke with the founder, and I got to know a little bit more about Project Starfish America. And I got to understand what this space was all about, this platform. And it was something that I think at that time in my life, it was the perfect connection that I needed, the perfect place that I needed to be in, because the way Project Starfish was explained to me was that this is a simulated business, and basically this is a place where you can come in and learn from others through experiential learning, peer-to-peer learning, and also, work on real projects, augment your resume, gain the experience you need, and then springboard out into the big wide world for a job, a big job, a real job. But this was a really great testing place and a testing ground. And I thought, you know what? I just learned all these skills. I have skills from the bookstore, from the white collar work I've done, and my blue collar experience too. I could bring all of that to here and see what this is about. And it's a community made for people with disabilities, for visual disabilities. And I thought, a community, I can join this and see what this is about. So I did that. And incidentally, that's where I met you, Amanda.
Yeah. So if I could just pause there and say that for those who don't know, despite the existence of the American Disabilities Act, is that the correct name?
I believe so. ADA.
The ADA.
Mm-hmm.
It is still very difficult to find for people with disabilities to find employment. In fact, I think it's still 80% of blind and vision impaired people are still unemployed because either they don't have the skills, or employers just don't quite know what to do with them, or so Project Starfish is a really vital link in that process. It skills people up. So Nazreen, please continue. What happened after that when you joined Project? Well, I should say, when you first joined Project Starfish, I had just joined too, because I had been laid off from my legal work, and I didn't quite know what I was going to do, and I thought I might be able to contribute somehow with my legal skills and my knowledge that I'd gained. And Nazreen, when you first joined, I remember you were as quiet as a mouse. We used to go on these case study calls learning about different businesses, and Nazreen wouldn't say a thing, not a thing. And then she'd call me after the call and we'd talk for like 2 hours. And so we became firm friends after that. But as the courses went on, as the case studies went on, Nazreen started to say more and more, and she started to become more involved. And yeah, what happened?
Yeah, absolutely. That was sort of the starting journey. But honestly, Amanda, I was so scared when I first came in there. And I was just like, all these bright professional people with some title behind them. You were a lawyer, and somebody else was something else, and somebody else was an educator, and so forth. And here I was, a domestic engineer. That's how I kind of framed myself. And I thought, oh, I need to get a title. But I was just so scared because, I didn't know anything about case studies. I knew nothing about business. I mean, you go from working and being in my life had changed. I was in a different life set now. And all I remember is diapers and baby food and children and Teletubbies and things. And now we're like talking, big thing like B2B and all these terms that were just so like, ambiguous to me. And I was just like, and yeah, I was very scared. I was timid. I was quiet. I was just learning and listening and watching everybody. And then about 2-3 weeks into it, I made up my mind, no, this is not for me. I have to leave. This is just, this is hard. I don't know what's happening with this. I'm not learning. I don't know what's going on. And, that was one of our things, is that we've connected sort of outside of Project Starfish. And so I did lean on you a lot for kind of understanding sort of how things, these business case studies went and what it was all about. And then I was given a challenge by the founder, who is also a good friend of mine, Subhashi Acharya, who's based out of Boston. He gave me a challenge to kind of say, hey, why don't you teach us something? What do you know a thing or two about? And I thought about it and I said, well, I know a lot about Word because I love word processing. And one of the courses that I took in college, information technology, based around a lot around word processing using, different software. But I thought maybe that's something I could teach. I like to teach. So let's see if I could put this together.
And so we all got together, and I taught Outlook, and Nazreen taught Word, and one of the other people taught Twitter, and we really we taught each other what we knew, and then we got together and we developed this whiz-bang training program, which all new entrants to Project Starfish had to go through. And it was great. And Nazreen runs that whole entire program on her own now. All of us have moved on, and we're doing other things. And yeah, so Nazreen teaches that whole program on her own. And what happened with the case study? Sub started to move you more into dealing with the businesses themselves, didn't he?
Yeah, I learned so much from the case studies. And then when we did the internal case studies that we all did as a group, the members did, I learned so much from that. And I really excelled from that he actually, eventually I became CEO, and I also was starting to do the business development as well alongside some of the business development team. I oversaw that as well. So I did the HR component, which is something that I really like to do, is human resources and training, which we developed. And I developed now into a 3.0 training process, which is basically customized for anybody who is transitioning from a mouse to screen reader, or just needs employability skills at large to kind of do that. But at the time, yeah, I also took business development, and we did the Harvard case method of case studies, which was really fantastic. I got to speak to real companies. We had reached out to over 3,000 companies, startup companies worldwide, and we had actually got about half of those on business calls to come and speak to our team to talk about their goods or services. And from that, we were able to engage some projects out of those companies, which in turn gave our members experience, and in turn gave them a bonus of monetary gain. And that was how the members were able to augment their resumes. And that was and learn and get experience. And that's what the Project Starfish platform was all about, and how it was kind of put together.
But it took some doing for you to step into the CEO role, didn't it? I remember when it was first mentioned to you, when Subs wanted to make you CEO. Forgive me, but you freaked out. You completely freaked out. And
I did.
We spent many, many hours on the phone talking about CEOs and what they do and what they don't do. And I learned a lot along the way too. And I was sitting on a board at the time, so I was able to give Nazreen practical experience of what CEOs do. And, first-time CEOs, they don't have the skill. Well, they do have the skills needed, but they don't have the experience. So Nazreen was panicking about not having the experience. And so she performed that role of CEO for quite a long time without actually having the title, because she wouldn't take the title on. But then eventually you came around to realizing that you did have what it took to be CEO, and you stepped into that role. And now I talk to now I take advice from Nazreen on, how to better interact with companies and big business, and because she's very, very good at reading people. That's how she got into the HR side of things. She can read a person and much better than I can. So I often take advice from her on things like that. So things have kind of turned full circle, and now you're CEO of Project Starfish, and that's going on beautifully. And in the last couple of minutes that we have, tell me, you're also involved in another project called Bold Blind Beauty, and you're also helping other people to improve their speaking skills.
Yeah, absolutely, Amanda. So I am currently involved in different social enterprise projects with Bold Blind Beauty. That's boldblindbeauty.com. That's a platform that helps to empower, connect, and break down barriers and provide inclusivity for folks with disabilities and living through sight loss. We have an acronym called BLIND, Bold Leaders Illuminating New Directions, and it's home of Beyond Sight magazine. So I am working with that team. I love it because I get to bring all of the things from Project Starfish that we first did when we had the member-led platform into Bold Blind Beauty, work with interns, work with the community, and help elevate others and make a difference for them. I also run a program called Speak with Confidence, which is a little mini Toastmasters. And we do that, through Zoom platform. And that helps people that are, struggling with speaking skills to polish up their speaking skills or to learn new skills as well. It's a mini Toastmasters because we only focus on a few of the speeches or few of the elements of speaking. And the purpose there is to have people sort of spring launch into their local Toastmasters or any virtual Toastmaster online. And I love that because it's another social impact project of mine, and people get to come, they network, they make friends, and some people have told us, it's quite therapeutical. And the other thing I do is I am a certified recruiter, and I work with the Sourcing Foundation in Atlanta, Georgia, helping people to reskill them in recruiting and sourcing and become recruiters and sourcers and, certified recruiters. And so that's been something I've been really enjoying doing. And I work with all populations. They're not just the visually impaired, but returning citizens, military, their spouses, and also the unemployed as well. So it's been really great working with all these different communities, learning from them. And so that's kind of where my path, starting from, mat leave and being diagnosed with an eye condition, has kind of led me to strive and thrive up the ladder, to find some level of success for myself and personal growth.
And you're really making a difference in the world, aren't you? You're even influencing how cosmetics manufacturers are labeling their packaging and
Yes.
helping people who just coming out of prison reintegrate into the community and skilling them up too. So you've sort of stumbled across your life's purpose, haven't you, during your journey? I remember we had a discussion about that.
That is so true. And I feel like I'm a difference maker. And and I feel like I feel like that one of my greatest joys is helping others to thrive in their professional journeys and to help them achieve their aspirations. It's
fantastic.
It's very gratifying to me to see them transform, gain confidence, and develop into outstanding community leaders.
It is, isn't it? And I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say my mantra is see what we can do, not what we can't do.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That's wonderful. And it is very gratifying to live at your life's purpose. And if you would like to find out more about how to discover your life's purpose and live it out, you can do so by getting your hands on this book, which I have written, and it's got the chapter on leadership is chapter 8. And there are exercises you can go through to help you in your personal growth journey and discovering your life's purpose. And you can get that book at purposevisionfuture.com. That's purposevisionfuture.com. And thank you so very much for joining us, Nazreen, and sharing your journey. And before we close out the show, I would just like to leave you with my customary piece of encouragement. If you are facing a challenge which seems a little bit too big, a little bit overwhelming, you've got this. I know you've got this. You just dig down deep inside like Nazreen did, build up that courage and grab out that courage, which I know is in you, and you will be just fine. Thank you.